Hey pre-ballet dancers! So what we're going to do for these recorded videos is we're going to continue our ballet studies like we usually do in class, where we study a different ballet show and we talk about the characters and the plot, and then we usually learn a little variation. So I'm going to post these videos. We're going to have 3 of them. So we'll do 3 different ballets, and they're going to have different focuses, and you'll have different focuses to do some creative work with some of the ballet skills that you know. So we're going to start today with Giselle. Some of you guys probably already remember doing Giselle, maybe with me, maybe you've heard of that ballet before. So we're going to talk about Giselle. And first I'm going to tell you the little story of Giselle, which you guys always like. And then I've also linked a video clip that's going to be in the description below that you can actually watch the little snippet of Giselle that we're going to use today. So let me tell you about Giselle. With a lot of stories for ballet, there's usually a romance, and it either ends in a happy ending or it ends very sad. So Giselle is one of those where it ends very sad, which is not so great. But Giselle is a peasant girl, or she comes from a place in the village where she doesn't have a lot of money. And there is a count, and his name is Albrecht. And he, being a count, means he has lots of money, and he, runs a lot of parts of the village. So Albrecht comes into the village and he falls in love with Giselle because she is a fantastic dancer. Of course, she's a fantastic dancer, but she's a little bit shy, and it usually talks about how she has a very weak heart. So she has a weak heart, but she loves to dance. And Albrecht comes to the village disguised as a peasant, because if everyone saw him in jewels and stuff, they'd probably be like, who is this? And we need to give him things. So he was disguised, and he falls in love with Giselle because she dances so beautifully. So at first Giselle is like, no way, I don't know who you are. I'm not sure I could fall in love with you. But she eventually does fall in love with him, and he promises her that they're going to be together forever and live happily ever after. So their meeting gets cut short because there's a hunting party, which is Albrecht's family and court, like his parents and all the people that live with him, come through the village about to go out on like a fox hunt, and they stop and they start noticing there's people around, and they talk to the villagers, and Giselle joins to see who these fancy people are and talks to them. So there's one person in the party, and her name is Bathilde. I almost forgot her name. Bathilde. Bathilde is actually betrothed, meaning she's supposed to marry Albrecht, but she doesn't know that Albrecht is in love with Giselle, and Giselle doesn't know that Albrecht is getting married, which is going to get complicated. So Bathilde and Giselle meet, and they become friends. Of course, that's not going to end very well. And then another person at the party named Hilarion is also, of course, in love with Giselle. And he notices that Albrecht is kind of staying close to Giselle and saying that he's in love with her. So he, because he's very jealous, decides to reveal the disguise that Albrecht is wearing and saying, oh, surprise, he's actually a count, and he's got lots of money, and look, he's betrothed to this other woman. So Giselle finds out in a very horrible way that the man she was in love with is actually going to marry someone else. So she runs away, and actually she dies of a broken heart. Weird, huh? Because that's halfway through the ballet. So Giselle has died, and she is buried in the forest. So the next part of Giselle is all about this dark forest, and it's about these creatures called the willies. I think some of you remember us talking about the willies. So the willies are women that have died of broken hearts, and they reside in this forest, and if any man comes into the forest, they make them dance all night long that they eventually die of exhaustion because they're so mad that these men broke their hearts and killed them. So Giselle is now one of the willies, and she helps to, make all these men dance and die of exhaustion. So Hilarion, who is the guy who revealed Albrecht's disguise and was in love with Giselle before she died, comes through the forest, and all the willies make him dance until he dies of exhaustion. Poor Hilarion. Although he shouldn't have been so mean, right? So then who comes into the forest to mourn for Giselle is Count Albrecht. So he walks into the forest, and the queen of the willies says to Giselle, go and bring him out so that you can make him dance all night long and we will get him. But of course, even though Giselle is heartbroken that he was betrothed to some other woman and she died because of it, she still loves Albrecht and she decides to save his life. So what she does is all night long she keeps him awake and then she keeps him alive so that by morning the Willies lose their powers and they have to go back away to the land of the dead, and Albrecht gets to leave with his life. And that's how the story ends. So Albrecht gets to leave and he's very sorrowful that he's lost Giselle, and Giselle goes back to live with the Willies. And that's the ending. Isn't that crazy? So like I said, some ballets have happy endings and some of them have kind of sad endings, like Swan Lake. Remember, we've talked about Swan Lake in different classes. And this one is sad, right? They don't get to be with each other, but it is slightly happy because, you know, they get to be like still love each other, but from afar. So I'm going to show you a little picture of Giselle, and I want you to match her picture. So this is an arabesque, and you'll see, and I'll talk about it, there are very distinct movements from Giselle in terms of how her body looks, and one of them is the way that her hands are placed. So let me show you. Ready? Here's Giselle. There she is. So she's on her point shoes, and she's in her low arabesque, right? So this arabesque isn't super, super high. And you see that Giselle wears a very long dress, not tutus. So she wears a long white dress, and this is her when she's a willy, actually. So this is her when she's dead. And then what's really important is actually her hands right here. Do you see them? They're actually kind of droopy, right? So this is really important for Giselle. In Giselle, the choreographer made it really important that Giselle's hands, when she is in the land of the Willies, is that her hands are a little droopy, kind of like they're dead hands, right? So I want you to take a couple seconds. I'm going to pause this right now. I want you to do exactly what Giselle is doing. Can you copy her movement right here? Ready? 3, 2, 1. Good. Rest. How was that? Is it hard to balance? So I'll put Giselle down. And now what we're going to do is I want to talk about the movement that we're going to do, because you're going to have a chance to dance like Giselle, and we're going to actually do the part of Giselle, not where she is dancing and doing like her willies and scary dance moves, but I want to talk about the part of Giselle that's very character. So character is a phrase that we use in ballet where it talks about not only just dancing, but using your body like an actor without opening your mouth, right? So there's a lot that happens in a ballet, and some of it is just movement that looks like people are talking to each other, but they're not speaking. So you have to, as an audience, understand what they're saying. So character is very important with using your face and using your arms. So I'm going to teach you a few of them right here. You ready? I'm sitting down so you can sit as well, and then we'll get up to standing in a sec. So different movements of your face, right, can show what you're feeling from a faraway stage. So, right, if you were really regal, you were like queen, you would stand up really tall, right, your shoulders back, proud lips. And then maybe if you were like a little bit younger, you were kind of scared, maybe you lived in the village and you were a little scared of some of those court people, right, you would be a little bit more slouched over, right, standing and reaching. And then if you saw something, right, like if you were in the forest with the willies, you'd have to change your body to be a little bit scared, right? You could show your hands and show the anger, right, the fear. Usually fear means you have to close everything off. And love, right, is the opposite, is that you reach out. So when Giselle is dancing with Albrecht, she always reaches her arms out, and she reaches from her heart, which shows off that character. And then emotion, because she can't tell anyone with her voice who she's in love with or if she's scared. So, again, I want you to try a couple things right now. So I want you to show me some movement with your arms and a pose with your face that shows these 3 emotions. Are you ready? The first one is surprise. So show me surprised in 3, 2, 1. Maybe like this. Now don't forget, you're on stage, so you can't just go, the audience won't see that. Do it nice and big. Good. Beautiful. Okay, should we do another one? How about let's do angry. Ready? Show me angry with your body and your face. 3, 2, 1. Ready? So what would you do? Your arms, make sure your arms are moving and your face. That one's good. Okay, should we do one more? This one's fun. How about let's do love? Let's do love. Ready? 3, 2, 1, show me love. Good, I'll try 1, 2, ready? Beautiful. So, we're gonna do all of this movement and you're gonna have a chance to dance to Giselle's song. And this part of Giselle is actually the hunting party. So we're gonna do the character movement of the hunting party. So the hunting party, which is the court, right? Which is Albrecht's parents and his uncles and siblings, and then also Hilarion and his betrothed, right? So all of these people who wear lots of big outfits and big jewels, right? They're going off to hunt, meaning they're gonna ride horses, they're going to try and hunt for foxes. They're going to use some dogs. So some things that we can use are your port-de-bras, which is your en bas, en avant, en haut, à la seconde. You can then use your chassé, right, to chase. So your chassé around the room. Should we try? Chassé with those toes because you're riding on your horse. Good. And then don't forget to use your face, right? You are talking to Albrecht, you're talking to Giselle, you are talking to the villagers, right? Using your hands to say hello, to say goodbye, to say, what is that? To say, I'm upset. To say, right, I want to go home. So I want you here, what's going to happen is you get your creative time, and obviously I can't see you, but it's all about you using your imagination and not copying me. So I want you to grab someone in your house if they'd like to join you, and they can do something too and be a part of the characters. Now, this is improv, meaning you get to make things up on the spot. There's no wrong answers. Everyone is right because this is your own creative story. Now, the music comes on. The one rule is that you cannot open your mouth. So if you want to tell someone that you're angry, you got to do it with your body. Yes? And don't forget to throw in some of our dance moves that we already practiced in class. Your pliés, your relevés, your piqués, your échappés, right? Your yo-hos, and any sort of ballet move that you can think of. Are you ready to try? Okay, here comes Giselle, the hunt. How was it? Was it a fantastic performance? I'm sure it was. So you can always replay that song and try a different one, right? Try some different movements, try it with some different people in your scene. It's always fun to try new things. So again, I linked below, if you want to see the actual performance, of this scene from Giselle. You can actually see what it looks like with the characters in their costumes going on the hunt. It is below in your description, and you can ask a grown-up to click play for you, and you can watch it together. So I will post again. We're going to go through some more ballets the next time I see you, and have a wonderful time, and I'll see you guys really soon. Bye.